Here's Johnny.
Hello and welcome to the channel, and today we will be reviewing Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep is a direct sequel to the events of The Shining. A now adult Danny Torrance meets a young girl with similar powers as he tries to protect her from a cult known as the True Knot, who prey on the fear and innocence of children with the collective ideology that their immortality will be prolonged. So, for your information, this will be a mullet style review, meaning that the first portion of this full review is the movie review, and then after that point, once I've then given my score, we will then get into spoilers. So I will notify you, I will let you know, even if you've missed the last 10 seconds of what I've just been saying. So anyway, this film is written and directed by, directed and edited by none other than Mike Flanagan, known for The Haunting of Hill House, Before I Wake, Oculus, Hush, Gerald Game, among the few of many that Mike Flanagan has done. So, and obviously the novel by Stephen King. So, with this film, so I think that the burning question for everybody and all the fans was, I mean, I'm a fan, I'm well, a bit of an oxymoron to say that I'm a fan in that I didn't read the actual books, but the kind of burning resolution to me has always been, what is the Shining ability? So, the first 5 minutes of this film takes place, and I'm kind of scratching my head, you know, is this gonna kind of resonate with the audience? Because at that moment in time, I felt like Mike Flanagan was kind of stitching the pieces together with all the characters that he had within the story. So, and once those first 15 to 20 minutes have gone by, and then we got into the actual folklore of the Shining ability, it was friggin' amazing. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I've never seen, so to add on to that, there is this, one of the best directed scenes that I've seen throughout the entirety of the year, that goes for it being the best out of the film and TV that I've seen this whole year, and it was absolutely spellbinding, groundbreaking stuff. When this moment happened, I couldn't believe it. It's funny because I felt wonderment from when I was like a young boy or something. It was a really euphoric experience, and it's kind of a scene that takes place in the beginning of the second act. So to add on to the brilliance of Mike Flanagan, he put his own trademarks and his own panache onto this franchise, really. But in doing so in a way that incorporated all the same, incorporating the homage and paying tribute to Stanley Kubrick's work and Stephen King as well, and that was really awesome to see. So I've got a list of pros here that I want to touch upon because I really do think that this film is great. Spare me a second, no craftsmanship, no. The real limits. So, another thing that I really kind of was endeared by this film was there is a great use of subtext, obviously the folklore of all the Shining powers, and I feel that with Mike Flanagan, he not only does he understand the folklore with horror, he understands the folklore with the paranormal a lot, like a lot. That kind of relates back to what would you what would you actually see in real life. This is not an over pretentious jump scare fest. This is a very in-depth, context fueled, three-dimensional characters, and I love how he balances the element of horror with true emotions that resonate with a human, and the way that he pulls that off is actually brilliant. um, so with that added layer, it feels very authentic and it feels very different to any other horror film that kind of maybe just kind of sticks to one-dimensional characters and things that just don't resonate with an audience. But I feel like if anything, what makes Flanagan so great is that, and well, really just the whole the writers for this is that what makes the Shining universe so great is that they think about the character first, and then comes obviously the exuberance within the film, which is the jump scares or or the scary moments, because here's the thing: if you don't feel anything towards, if they're not three-dimensional characters and then the jump scare happens, you're just sitting there in your seat enjoying your popcorn more than the film. So that's what I've got to say. I also think that the cinematography was great. And what else? I will say this as well. Whoever was the casting director for this film, they deserve a bonus, because Ewan McGregor as Danny Torrance was just such a pleasurable thing. He was a pleasure to watch on screen. He does very well in playing a mistreated, conflicted, inner galvanized character, and there was not one stone unturned with that performance. You could totally see that Ewan McGregor went away and he completely dived into this role, and came back with a great interpretation of Danny Torrance. Now, that then leads me then on to talk about Rebecca Ferguson in this film. And my God, was she brilliant, I mean, yes, is it a great performance from her? Of course it is. But I also feel like with the overall experience we got with this, was that it just goes to show that in filmmaking, if you're able to nail the script, then you're able to layer that with great performances. It just heightens the experience. With this movie, I never felt like it got to a point where I stopped kind of being analytical about it, and I just kind of enjoy the experience. If you can, especially if you review films or you're a critic, I don't believe there's a such thing as a critic, but anyway, if it subsides from you trying to pick out moments, and it just feels like this experience that's kind of welcomed you into open arms, that's the kind of film that you want. You want to marinate and in that feeling as an audience, and I feel that's what filmmakers need to go for. Which then leads me to talk about, now Cliff Curtis is in this film. We know him from Avatar, and obviously he's gonna. I know him from other things, but the main thing now is that he's going to be doing these Avatar sequels with Mr. James Cameron. I've got the little kid's name here. I'm going to say it now. Kayla Curran as Abra. She was a great counterpart to a great co-star alongside Ewan McGregor, and she really held her own in this story. It was brilliant. Brilliant acting from her behalf, really. But I think what's just so great about this whole film in general is that it's got everything that you just want to see. Now, then to add on there, the cinematography is great. Nothing was wrong with that whatsoever. What else we got here? And when we got to the third act in this film, I became a giddy kid all of a sudden, and that going from the second act into the third act, that was a true homage, a true tribute of all the filmmakers that have kind of delved into this Shining universe. I love when people collaborate and they create magic. I felt the power of Mike Flanagan all in one shot. I felt the power of Mike Flanagan. I felt the power of Stephen King, and I felt the power of Stanley Kubrick all in one momentous shot, and it was it's a dream come true, really. Jacob Tremblay is in this film. This is his second time working with Mike Flanagan. He was in Before I Wake, which was another good solid film, which now leads me to give you my consensus and my rating for Doctor Sleep. I believe that this film was the 3-piece soda with the extra fries and the nuggets, and for that, Doctor Sleep gets a 9 out of 10. This is a great sequel, and the fan service is top notch. Brilliant all round, 3-dimensional characters, first person narrative, great. Now we are going to get into spoilers. So ladies and gentlemen, if you do not want to hear spoilers, I highly suggest that you click away now. There's 50 plus other videos and other movie reviews and all kinds of content on my channel. So I suggest that you go there. There'll be links in the description most likely. Check out the channel, explore. And yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this part of the review. Now, if you are here for spoilers, we are starting in 3, 2, 1. I hope that if you haven't seen the film, that you're out of there. Or if you're a rebel and you don't care about spoilers, then God be with you. Here we go. Wait, hold on a second. I've missed out a few things, but it doesn't matter. So what I was saying just in the review part of this video was that Mike Flanagan, I feel like with his writing, he maybe once or twice things might go wrong, but other than that, I really enjoy his work. And the reason why I got a lot of respect for him is that he knows so much about paranormal folklore. It's crazy. I believe that in the story, there's a moment where he's at the AA, or he's talking to one of the characters. I think it was Abra, and he said, when I was drinking, I could only envision, when I was using my shining powers, I could only envision people as like when they had flies and all this kind of stuff. But me knowing a little bit of paranormal stuff and kind of folklore about that region, flies are represented with the devil. And I thought it was quite interesting that when Danny was on the drink, he could only imagine people as like the embodiment of like a rotten corpse. And I thought the way that they tied that up with the psyche and what he's actually envisioning, I thought that was so clever. And I also love how Rose the Hat is on one side of the spectrum to Danny and Abra. And what's so great is that Rose uses the perception of magic in a way to lure people into to get what she wants, in a very vindictive sociopathic with psychopathic tendencies, and then you've got Abra who uses the magic in a way that tricks people for the good or gives a good impression. And then you've got Danny who's using the ability of the shining power to almost give a safe haven to the elderly and let them pass on into the afterlife. And it was great to see how all these different whether they were protagonists or antagonists, how they all used the power setting of The Shining. Another great scene that I thoroughly enjoyed was the when we went back to the Overlook Hotel, and there was this kind of there was the talk between Danny and the butler that was, or the bartender, sorry, that was at the just behind the till, and it was creepy because he was a morphed cross merging of the bartender and Jack, Danny's dad. And I thought to myself, why have they done that? And it was interesting because, I mean, I don't know how this kind of relates to like trauma in the brain or whatnot, but if you think about it really, if you were a kid and you experienced something so terrible and so daunting and dreadful, would your mind really perceive to remember them the way that you would want to remember them? Like if they're actually in the depiction as a monster, I'm sure that there's something in some. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but there's something in psychology where there's going to be a part where your psyche wants to alter that and create a better version. And it's just trippy things like that in the film that's amazing. And also there's kind of like this underlined theme and symbolism about recreational drugs and how does that affect you, and it's the thing that the bartender's saying, drink is medicine, because drink is medicine because, as men, we have all these different responsibilities. We get a wife, we do this, we do that, it doesn't work out, and we have this to clear our mind from it. And I'm a firm believer of recreational drugs is kind of like the window of, I feel like we only do it to remember or to forget. That's the reason why we resort to that. It's the kind of fill the void, that we have in our personal lives with recreational drugs. And I thought that was a really nice little, very sharp dialogue there, and it was brilliant. I mean, another thing that we've got to touch upon is when Rose is like, she's flying, like hovering, over the whole city, and just the way it was shot. I was like, I've never seen anything like that in a horror film. But I think what makes that so great is that it kind of ropes you in so much that you believe that someone's filming, but really they're not, they're not floating. It's just a thing that their mind is traveling. It's like astral projection, like lucid dreaming, and that was really cool. And like, she gets pushed back, she flies across the city, and she flies right back into her body. I was like, that was some OG Doctor Strange stuff going on, man. Marvel Studios would be proud. Yes, so what do we have here? And I love how nobody, not even Abra. We know that her shining power is strong, and we know that Rosa Hack's power was strong. We even knew that Danny's power was strong, but the hotel is undefeated. No one can beat the hotel, And that scene and how it took place with all of the entities coming back to kind of submerge, Rose. And I loved how they kind of done their own version of the whole Jack walking up the stairs, and it was her that had replaced him with the axe. And it was all really well directed, man. And the ending was emotional, man. You know, the ending, man. The ending, it was deep. Like you know that heartbeat. You know, you can interpret that however you want. That kind of art. I kind of envision it as I don't know, maybe Danny misses his mum's presence, you know, because as we know, she's died of cancer. But look, great film. I loved it, guys. If you've made it to this point, we've got to about 21 minutes. It just had to be this way. I mean, the points I wanted to get through, you know, I mean, it's a bloody essay, you know. But look, great film. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Let me know, did you like it or did you hate it? It's okay to disagree. And if you dislike the film, let me know in the comments. Let me know your opinions. I will not subject you. I will not think any less of you. We're all entitled to opinion. Film is subjective, and that is the way that it is, sadly. But yeah, leave the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.